Now, how do you fancy carrying a 20-stone man for 2.3 miles? It just seems like one of those endurance tests. The world's strongest man. No. This is just, while you're just kind of, well, I guess on holiday, mooching around, and you're hiking up a trail, and then up ahead you see somebody who needs help. What do? Well, of course, you help out. And that's what Dan Reardon did. He's the boss of a Bicester fitness and nutrition company, and he carried this injured hiker, 20 stone of him, for more than 2 miles. At the time, our David Prever chatted to Dan on the phone, but Dan is back in the UK, so we thought we would get him in, set him down in a nice comfy chair. There was a rumour that he was going to be photographed carrying me, but that's never gonna happen. Dan, hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm very well.
Thank you for having me here.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking there's not much for me to do apart from say, tell us what happened.
Well, it was New Year's Day. Good opportunity to go on a hike, and the great thing about California and the Santa Monica Mountains is there's loads of great hiking trails. So I was actually on a trail I'd not done before, Escondido Falls in Malibu. The idea is you get to the end of the trail and there's supposed to be a waterfall, and I guess it was something like two and a half miles ish into the hike, and there was a guy with a sort of a group of people around him, family members, and he was hobbling pretty badly. And my background is as a doctor. I was a doctor for just under 10 years, so instinctively, I wanted to see if I could offer any assistance. So I sort of went up to him and said, "Look, listen, do you need a hand?" To which first of all he said no. But he didn't say no. He sort of said, "No, I should be okay." But he was really struggling. His family members were struggling trying to get him off the trail. So I sort of said again, "Look, listen, it's a couple of miles off to get off this trail. It's up and down. So let me give you a hand." And his wife kind of looked at him and sort of said, "Look, listen, let's take some help." So I got one side of him, and his brother was the other side of him, and we kind of put his arms around our shoulders, and we're trying to get him to hop. And of course, he wasn't a small guy. So you've got a guy who's not that small on a jaggedy hiking trail trying to hop, which is a recipe in itself for a second broken ankle. So we pretty quickly realised this wasn't gonna work out. We're in quite dense sort of wooded area. I wasn't really sure what the typical sort of rescue was in this particular part of the world, and it was kind of early afternoon, and let's say that it was going to take a good couple of hours to get him off the hiking trail. We were going to be getting close to dark, so I said to him, "You know what, let me put you on my back and I'll walk you off the trail." And his reaction was, "I don't think you're going to be able to do that." And in fact, his family's reaction was, "I don't think you're going to be able to do that." And I sort of said, "No, come on, it's get him on my back and we'll have a go." So I got him onto my back, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, these trails. Why do people go on these trails? Is it the scenery? Is it the challenge? What is it about these particular trails?
Well, I mean, hiking is a great form of exercise. It's an activity that you can share with other people, and generally in the popular trails in California, there's always lots of people on them, so it's relatively safe. If you're lucky, you might see a mountain lion or two. You'd have to be very lucky for that, though. But yeah, it's just great exercise, and obviously, California's a part of the world where people are very sort of health conscious, and it's a typical thing that people would do at weekends. Very relaxing, and it's just great fun.
Yeah, you say lucky to see a mountain lion. Lucky for this fella to see an ex-doctor who's also a fitness instructor and could actually bear the weight of a 20-stone man on his back. What would he have done had you not been there, Dan?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, the remainder of the story was that once I sort of got him off the trail, the EMTs or the paramedics were waiting at the end of the trail, and so I'm not entirely sure whether what they would have done was whether they would have tracked down the trail with a gurney and carried him on a gurney off the trail, or whether there would have been another way to do it. I'm really not quite sure, actually. I was more concerned about going and getting tacos because I was pretty hungry, and I wanted to get him onto the trolley and head for a late lunch.
An Englishman's thoughts are never far from his stomach. So he'd actually broken his ankle.
Yeah, and he'd broken his ankle, and I mean, from an emergency medical perspective, one of the issues with broken ankles is if you do a good job, you often get dislocations, and whenever you get a dislocated joint, there's always risks that it can cut off blood supply to the distal parts of the limb. So anyone who has an ankle fracture, there's always a risk it could be dislocated, which sometimes you often can't see because of swelling. So there are sort of time critical things that you have to consider, and of course there's not a lot you can do with no pain relief in the middle of a hiking trail with someone who's potentially got a broken ankle. It can be pretty serious, but yeah, he had a broken ankle.
So one thing springs to mind: if he broke his ankle, he broke his ankle by not having secure footing on this trail. You are then heading back down the trail 20 stone heavier than when you went up the trail. So what about your footing?
Well, what actually happened was he'd gone off the trail. So so when you get to the end of this trail, there's a waterfall. Unfortunately, the waterfall was dried up, but he'd actually gone off the trail, and it was when he was trying to get back onto the trail that he kind of jumped off a small sort of cliff-type ledge, and it sort of all went wrong for him at that stage.
Right, but these trails, they aren't paved with sort of with ice cream parlours every year.
No, but you have to remember that they are walked on by a lot of people, so
right.
the ground isn't too bad as long as you stick to the trails.
Right, okay. Just to let people know that on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/BBC Oxford, there is a video of Dan, who's in the studio with me now, carrying this 20-stone fellow with a broken ankle. This video went viral.
It did.
And when videos go viral, we're not talking just like you and your close family have seen it. We're talking hundreds of thousands. We're talking millions of people worldwide have seen you with a 20-stone fella on your back.
I know it's insane. Fox News, ABC News. It was on everything, and it was crazy to see it. Especially kind of it's obviously because it's all everything's all revolved around fitness, and this idea of strength, being strong and carrying this guy, and other people saying, maybe I now need to start thinking about getting fit because I should be able to do things like that. So it hit at the best possible time. January the 1st, everyone's thinking about their fitness goals, and all of a sudden they're seeing videos of some random guy carrying a guy on his shoulders. So yeah, it was pretty interesting.
So was this all this attention from the press, first of all in California and then worldwide? Was it like some out of body experience for you then, Dan?
Yeah, well, it was. It's kind of interesting because so the reason I'm in the States is with my company FitnessGenes. So I co-founded the company with actually some local people, Dr. Sander Comble, Dr. Stuart Grice, and Mark Gilbert. So local people, and so I was out there for that purpose. Now, FitnessGenes is currently getting a lot of PR out in the States, and in fact, next week I'm on one of the big talk shows out there, The Doctors. So it's actually come at a time when there's been a lot of press and a lot of PR and a lot of media around FitnessGenes and some of the stuff I'm doing out there anyway. So it's quite interesting that it's sort of all kind of snowballed into this really interesting January and February and March, and some of the things that are happening now as a result of sort of increase in exposure. So but it was the sort of the sheer extent of or the sheer numbers of people and stations that kind of wanted to talk about it. I mean, that was pretty incredible.
Yeah. So what's it like being famous now then?
I wouldn't know. I mean, I think there's plenty of people around the world who'd be better asking that question too. I think one of the cool things is that I think if there's a handful of people that all of a sudden make a decision that that something like this makes them rethink their own lifestyle and rethink about or think about getting in shape themselves, then that's a positive. So and there's certainly a couple of people that have reached out and said, having seen that, it's made me kind of get to the gym. So that's great, and you can't really ask for more than that.
And next time you see an injured walker, you're going to ask how much they weigh first, I assume.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'll probably stretch my hip flexors and stretch my quads a little bit first. Then offer some assistance.
If you're more than 14 stone, I'm going nowhere near you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
And enjoy your time on American talk show TV as well.
Yeah.
Because that sounds really cool. Dan Reardon, who carried a 20-stone injured hiker in a trail in America for more than 2.3 miles. Sir, I salute you. That's a fantastic effort.
Thanks so much.
And thank you for joining us here at BBC